welcome to the Fantasy Football Last Call podcast. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me, my co-host, Geoff Lambert. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? What's up?
Yeah, Jeff, obviously from GoingFor2.com. Yeah, so it was a weird day of football. The
Yes, it
early
was.
games, lots of upsets. We're getting another one tonight if it,
Continues.
if it continues, man. This is just a cherry on top of a crappy football day. The Tennessee Titans are leading the Rams and pretty much dominating this game so far. So I don't know what is going on today. I don't know if it's daylight saving time. Like, it is just bad, man. People just not awake or something. Like, I don't get it. But excuse me. Anyway, let's just start ripping through the game, starting here with the Browns and Bengals.
All right, yeah, Browns and Bengals. Browns win this game 41-16. Not a result that I saw coming for sure. Baker 14 for 21, 218, 2 touchdowns. Chubb had a monster game, 14 for 137, 2 touchdowns. Actually had a couple catches too, which is unusual for him. DPJ 2 for 86 and a touchdown. On the other side, Burrow not so good, 28 for 40, 282, no touchdowns and 2 picks. Mixon 13 for 64 with 5 for 46 through the air. Higgins 6 for 78, Chase for 6 for 49. So pretty ugly on that Bengals side of things. What is there really to say about this game, really? I mean, Chubb, if you have Chubb, you're happy. Finally get the touchdowns. Had a huge game finally. That's about all I can say about this game.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a weird one. It's almost just like the Browns came out just on a mission to just prove OBJ wrong.
Yeah.
And they should. I think OBJ's a man child, if you want to call it that. It's just it's I don't know, man. Like I said it last year when OBJ went out, like the Browns played better football without him, honestly.
Yep.
Like
Agreed.
Mayfield is just more relaxed. You can just spread the ball around, which is I think the way he really wants to play, to where when OBJ is in there, he kind of feels like he has to force the ball to him, and OBJ is just not that guy anymore. Like I just don't think he has been for years. He's been banged up forever, and banged up a lot, and I think that's catching up to him. And look, he has been in the league for quite a while, so like age is catching up to him too.
Any thoughts, real quick, on where you think he might land? I'm hearing he's going to be a free agent, so he gets to basically pick where he wants to go.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be there was a lot of talk that maybe the Raiders would go after him, but there was a tweet that went out today from somebody at the NFL Network saying that Deshaun Jackson texted them and said that he was signing with the Raiders. So
yeah. Then there was a text that said that basically the 3 teams that are in the running for OBJ right now are the Seahawks, the Saints, and my 49ers. And I think someone said he prefers the Seahawks of all places.
I mean, I guess the Seahawks are probably the team that could win.
I
don't know, but
I guess when Russell Wilson's back,
he's definitely not going to be the alpha there, though. Like that's DK, and maybe he takes more target share than Lockett, but seems doubtful. I mean, if he wants to be the guy, it's probably the Saints, because they desperately need a number 1 there. They just don't have one. I still think it would be really funny if the Lions picked him up and he would just be like, I quit football. Because I don't know. Anyway, I mean, this Cleveland Bengals game was pretty ugly. Thankfully Mixon kind of salvaged somewhat of a day here for anybody who had him for the Bengals, but Burrow was just awful and
brutal.
Yeah. Jamar Chase didn't catch a touchdown for like the first time ever, it feels like.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
All right, let's move to the next game here. Another surprising outcome. Broncos 30, Cowboys 16. Teddy Bridgewater 19 for 28, 249 and a touchdown. Javonte Williams, the rookie that we keep hoping will get the lion's share here, 17 for 111. Problem is Melvin Gordon also had a pretty good game, 21 for 80 and a touchdown. Tim Patrick seems to be that guy that just pops up for them. You know, you think Sutton, you think Judy, you forget about Tim Patrick, but 4 for 85 in a touch. Dak, on the other hand, not so good coming back here. 19 for 39, 232, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Zeke, 10 for 51, with 3 for 25 in the air, and not even worth mentioning CD or Amari Cooper because they were pretty terrible.
Nothing. The Cowboys' offense was just terrible today. I don't know what happened. You would think the Broncos would have come out and just been flat, with them just trading Von Miller, but they just stuck it to the Cowboys at home nonetheless, too. So I'm just going to chalk this up to a bad game for the Cowboys, honestly. Like, I don't think I'm really terribly worried about anything here. On the Broncos side, I mean, we've mentioned it pretty much every week. This running game is going to be an even split. It is good to see Javonte Williams, go over 100 yards for the first time in his career, so kudos to him there. And then, this passing game, the one thing that I kind of took away from it was the fact that Judy saw 8 targets. Tim Patrick saw his, and I didn't write down the targets for him, but, he caught 4 for 85 in the touchdown. He looked good. But Sutton only saw 2 targets.
Yeah.
So, we mentioned this on your show couple weeks ago where it was buy low sell high, and if I forget which one of us mentioned Sutton, but it was like Judy's coming back, it's time to
sell
Sutton, because it's I don't think it's gonna be this bad every week, but I think he's definitely the secondary target here.
And secondary target
too,
and so secondary target with in a good offense, a high volume passing offense might be not too bad. But when you're only throwing the ball, he threw the ball 28 times today. That's probably one of his higher numbers there. They don't throw the ball that much.
No, they do not.
So, I mean,
they don't usually have the ball this much. Like, you think about the number of offensive plays they ran. He threw 28 times. Williams ran the ball 17. Gordon ran 21. And, there's other plays probably in there as well. Like, that's a lot of plays for this offense. I mean, they were just grinding the ball all day long. So.
All right, let's move to the next game here. Dolphins at Texans. This was a great one here. Dolphins win this one 17-9. Tyrod 24 for 43. It says 24 yards. I'm assuming he probably had a little bit more than 24 yards. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. My bad.
You're good. 3 interceptions. Cook 6 for 56. Brissett not much better on the other side. 26 for 43, 244 a touch and 2 picks. Gaskins, he was sort of a DFS darling. He was okay. 20 for 30 for 31, had a touchdown. 6 for 23 through the air, and Waddle 8 for 83. So if you had Waddle, you were probably happy about that.
Yeah, pretty good there. And it's 240 yards. Sorry, I was getting too quick to the 0 touchdown line there, and hit the dash instead of typing the 0 first. But bad day for Tyrod, unfortunately. Bad day all around. I mean, Tua got ruled out right before game time, and I mean, look, the Dolphins win the game. I guess that's all that matters for them. Gaskin got a lot of work, which is kind of surprising. Rushing the ball, but only 34 yards. Like,
brutal.
I expected much better things from this Dolphins offense, even with Brissett back there. And it just didn't happen. The Texans have been exposed on defense all year long, and it just didn't happen. Tyrod just looked rusty. He had this one play where he was about to go out of bounds, and it looked like he was going to throw it deep to throw it away, and then he just sort of flipped it, and it didn't go far enough out of bounds, and the defender just stood there on his toes, right against the line, and just grabbed it, and it was an interception on the 15-yard line, and you were like, what in the hell was that? So it was a weird one, man.
Brutal. Yeah, I told you pre-show I got cute in my dynasty league, and I have Kyler Murray as my starter. I had Tannehill on my bench, but with his Rams defense, I said I'm not going to play Tannehill this week. I'm going to pick up Tyrod Taylor. And didn't pan out so well. I was like, Dolphins defense is terrible. He's been tossing all about. The first 2 games he was throwing the ball all over the place. I thought he'd be decent, but
and you got to think that Tyrod's had a pretty decent floor. Especially when he was healthy earlier this year. He was running the ball all over the place. So I don't hate the move. I don't think I would have actually done it myself, but I don't hate it. I see where you were coming from there.
Yeah.
I mean, look, in Scott Fish, I went out, this morning, and of course, super flex, and ran out and got Brissett, 0.64 points later. Great. Thanks, man.
Yep. All right, let's move to this next game here. This one was a pretty good game, actually. Falcons at Saints. Falcons win this game on a field goal at the end there, I think 27-25. Matt Ryan had a huge game, 23 for 30, 343 and 2 touchdowns. Gage, 7 for 64. I'm not going to even try to say his name. OZ, 3 for 58 and 2 touchdowns. Cordell Patterson, 9 for 10, but he did have 6 for 126 in the passing game, so that definitely saved you there. On the other side, Simeon got the start here, 25 for 41, 249 and 2 touchdowns. Kamara, 13 for 30, 4 for 54 through the air, also had a touchdown on the ground. And Ingram had his 9 for 43. It's pretty standard line. I think he's in half the rest of the year. He'll get those decent games there. So what are your thoughts on this game here? I mean, Ryan has looked pretty good for a couple of games now. I think he did have one bad game in the middle there, but Matt Ryan seems to be on the map there again as a top 12 quarterback.
Yeah, man. You know, the running game is just non-existent, so it's gonna have to go through Ryan, and it might be a lot of not garbage time, but it's just gonna be a lot of shootouts because their defense is terrible. Even without Ridley there, they seem to be able to figure it out more times than not. So I like Ryan as a back end QB1 most weeks. I feel like. Flip over here to the Saints side, the one thing that, people were, there was a lot of, what's going to happen with Kamara with, Winston going down. And what's going to happen to Kamara when Ingram comes in? Well, now we've seen 2 games with Ingram there. And we're seeing what we saw in the past when Ingram was there, or he had a decent backup running back, right? It's Kamara gets a lot less of the rushing workload, but is still very active in the passing game. Now, he only caught 4. You probably want to see a little bit more, but still saw 7 targets. It was just a very inefficient game from Simeon, which I'm not terribly surprised at.
Yeah.
But, this is what we kind of expected. But, he's still a very valuable running back. He's still a guy that you can just plug and play every week. He's going to be heavily involved. I don't really have any super concerns. And if anything, I think I said on my show and on your show, I kind of liked the move to get Ingram just because I think it's going to protect Kamara. The workload he was getting was unsustainable ridiculous for him. He was like 20 carries a game. It just wasn't going to work. He was going to break down and get hurt eventually.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And then talking about the other quarterbacks, Simeon not looking too good. So do they make the switch to Taysom Hill next week? He played a couple snaps here. He actually almost vultured that Kamara touchdown. I think he ran the ball down to the 1, and Kamara got the touchdown. So they kind of got lucky there. But Taysom Hill next week, you think?
I mean, I don't see, honestly, I don't see why not. Look, they paid Taysom Hill pretty substantial money to, you would think, be the quarterback at some point, right? And Simeon is not a guy I think they're going to be able to win a lot of football games with. They won football games last year with Taysom Hill. It wasn't always pretty, but it worked, right? And so why not go back to that? Taysom Hill is a threat all over the field, and I don't see it. And you can tell, even in the preseason, he really worked on being a quarterback. You saw it. Dropbacks were better with him. They looked cleaner. He didn't just scramble around first chance he got. Now he's going to do a lot of that regardless, but I think they should go to Hill. Whether or not they do, I don't know. And if they don't, I don't know what Sean Payton in this love affair of Hill is really all about. It just doesn't now I'm calling it bogus if they don't go to Hill over Simeon at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird that it was Winston or Hill all preseason. Who's going to start? Who's going to start? Who's going to start? You just assume that when Winston went down, it'd be Hill stepping in.
Absolutely.
I know he's been injured for a while, but I mean, he looked good in practice per all reports. So I thought he would get the start. But
absolutely.
Definitely weird. All right, let's move to this next game. The Giants get this game over the Raiders. Pretty surprising for me. I thought the Raiders would come in and take this one, but Giants get it 23-16. Carr goes 30 for 46, 296 and a touch with 2 interceptions. Jacobs 13 for 76. Waller, typical Waller, 7 for 92. Renfro got a bunch of targets today. Renfro with 7 for 49 and a touchdown. On the other side, Daniel Jones didn't have to do much. 15 for 20, 110 yards and a touchdown. Booker here did really well, 21 for 99, 3 for 23 through the air. And Ingram has now played, 2 games back to back where he scored a touchdown. So maybe Ingram's back in that conversation there where you can play him. 3 for 38 and a touch. Not a whole lot to talk about here, I don't think. Anything you wanted to mention? Anything you saw in this offense that was different for the Raiders with Ruggs not being there?
I mean, Renfro obviously saw a lot more targets. It was sort of a weird game. Like, Carr wasn't very efficient today. He was missing some guys. He honestly missed Waller in the end zone a couple of times, which pissed me off because I've got him all over the place.
I saw a tweet too, just going on Carr and the Raiders. Jacobs had most of his yardage in the first quarter. And then like second, third, and fourth quarter, they just didn't go back to him. I don't know what happened. It was just kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was such a weird game. Like, of course, I watch a lot of this off of Red Zone, so I get bits and pieces of it. But you get the general feel of the game from there at least. I guess the one thing I was really looking forward to seeing was how Bryan Edwards was gonna step up, and he didn't. 4 targets, but zeros. Zay Jones had 4 targets, caught 1 for 20. So yeah, it's pretty clear to me they need another receiver, and it sounds like they're going to get one. There was a tweet out from I think it's Garofalo from the NFL Network saying that Deshaun Jackson texted him and said he's going to sign with the Raiders. So we'll see how he fits in. He's definitely a deep threat, kind of like Ruggs was.
He's really the perfect replacement, honestly. I mean, Djax, I think,
yeah.
1, being a veteran, and then 2, I think he does what Ruggs did. And I think Ruggs kind of, even though Ruggs didn't do a lot of for fantasy, he opened the middle of the field up because you had to respect his speed deep. So, Waller and Renfro can kind of eat underneath.
Agreed. I think Ruggs can do more than Djax at this point. Like, Djax really is nothing but a deep, like, go route guy. Ruggs did that and then could also go underneath, even though the Raiders didn't really seem to utilize him there.
Right.
If you go back to the Alabama tape, like, that's what Ruggs did. Ruggs would catch these little short routes and then just like take off on people, and like they just decided not to do that with him, which made no sense to me. But it is what it is.
All right, let's move to another ugly game. Patriots 24-6 over the Panthers. The Patriots have just perfected winning ugly. Mac Jones, 12 for 18, 139 and a touchdown and an interception. Stevenson had 10 for 62. Kind of nice to see the rookie get some involvement there. Harris did get injured in this game at some point, and so did Stevenson for that matter. Darnold has turned back into a pumpkin officially. I know we keep talking about it every week, but 16 for 33, 172, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The return of CMC, it wasn't typical CMC, but it's definitely good to see him out there. 14 for 52 on the ground, 4 for 54 through the air, and then DJ Moore, 3 for 32. I mean, when Darnold's playing that bad, Moore's going to struggle with him. So let's talk about these Panthers a little bit here. I mean, is there anybody on this team you can even trust? Can you even trust CMC at this point with this offense the way it is?
I mean, it's hard. I mean, look, CMC is such a talent. I mean, he'll catch. I mean, you saw it, 4 for 54. He's going to catch little dump offs and just weave through people. That's what he's going to do. So CMC's kind of there, but I don't think he's going to be near the top of my rankings for running backs until he proves it right now. This offense is so bad. He saw a good amount of work today, more than I thought he would actually at first. And Darnold is just complete garbage at this point. The teams have just, he had that hot start, and DJ Moore was benefiting from it, and wish I had sold high everywhere with him. But I thought, hey, Darnold's maybe not as bad as we thought, and DJ Moore, with 1,000-yard receiver last year with Bridgewater. Hey, this could happen again, sure. No, this is not going to happen, guys. So it's unfortunate. You're not going to get anything for DJ Moore. So I think you're just going to have to figure out what to do with him. But yeah, it's unfortunate. This Panthers team is just completely heading in the wrong direction.
Definitely is, and going to PJ Walker, I think, is the backup. Going to him wouldn't make much sense either. I mean,
we've seen that.
Yeah, it's bad no matter what they do at quarterback right now. So they're in a bad place. All right, let's go to this next game. This was a really surprising one for me. Bills lose to the Jags
Survivor leagues
6-9.
busted.
Yeah, yeah,
All
this
over the
one definitely
place.
busted a bunch of Survivor leagues for sure. Josh Allen had just a terrible game, 31 for 47, 264, no touchdowns, two interceptions, also lost a fumble in this game. Zach Moss got injured. Diggs, 6 for 85, still not that big game that we expect to get from Diggs. Cousins on the other side, 7 for 28, 187 through the air, two touchdowns. Cook had a good game, 17 for 110. Jefferson, 3 for 69 in the touchdown. I mean, really, I'm sorry. What am I looking at? Did I skip down to the wrong one? Yeah, I'm looking at the wrong name. Sorry about that. I went to the Vikings game. I was like, wait a minute. I'm not even talking about the right
I was
team
like,
here.
what?
Sorry about that.
Those don't make any sense. It's all right.
Yeah. Lawrence, 50 for 26, 118. Hyde, 20 for 67. And then Arnold, the tight end, 4 for 60 there. Yeah, I mean, what can you talk about in this game here? There's not a whole lot, really.
No, just I don't know if this was just the Bills walked into it thinking,
They're just
we
going to
got
show up
this.
and
It's
get the
just gonna.
victory.
It's an easy win, but they came to play, and I'm not gonna repeat the stat, but we've all heard the Josh Allen versus Josh Allen thing, which was
Yeah.
which was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, that is kind of cool. First time it's happened actually,
Yep.
especially with the sack. But I yeah, I mean it's kind of hard to believe. Do the Jags have 3 wins right now?
They
Like,
do. They
how
won.
how
Or did
crazy
they?
is that?
Is it 3 or 2?
I think they had.
Oh, they had the first one in London, right? That was their first win.
Yeah, so hang on. Yeah. This was their second win. Sorry, when they showed their record on TV, I didn't think they had updated the win
Win
total
total. Gotcha.
at the very end of the game. But yeah, so this was their second win. But I mean, yeah, I'm not really sure. I thought they were going to even win 2 games this year. Not the way
Yeah,
that they started.
definitely not. Definitely not. On the Bill side of things, just chalk it up to a bad game. I mean, you're still starting Josh Allen. You're still starting Diggs. Start all
Oh
any
yeah.
Bills you were starting. You're still playing them. Don't worry about it. All right, now let's get to the Vikings game that I kind of jumped ahead on. Cousins, 17 for 28, 187, and 2 touchdowns. Cook, 17 for 110. Jefferson, 3 for 69. On the other side, Lamar Jackson just went bonkers. 27 for 41, 266, 3 touchdowns. Did have 2 picks, but also chipped in 21 rushes for 120 yards. It's crazy when you watch the NFL ticker at the bottom when it shows the leading rushers, and I think Lamar Jackson at one time was the second leading rusher in the whole NFL. It's kind of crazy. Devontae Freeman, 13 for 79. Brown, 9 for 116. Had a pretty good game as well. He's been proving it all year that he is in that top wide receiver class there. He's been really good, even though I keep doubting him. He keeps doing it. But how long can the Ravens keep winning like this? I mean, they kind of fall behind early and then they sort of come back late, it seems.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I want to ask you an honest question. Like, who out of this AFC wants to go to the Super Bowl? It feels like nobody. I mean, I guess maybe the Ravens because at least they come back in games. But
Yeah.
like the Bills get down and they just like fall flat on their face. The Chiefs aren't doing what the Chiefs
Yeah.
should be doing. The Chargers aren't doing what the Chargers feel like they should be doing. Just like nobody's really stepping up. And
I mean,
Tennessee would have been the
Tennessee,
team, I feel like, but they lost Derrick Henry, so who knows, right? I mean, but
yeah,
it might not matter. They're still
seems to be
smashing the
doing
Rams
okay.
right
They're
now.
beating
So
beating the NFC's best right now. So
yeah, it still just feels like that is a wide open division of a bunch of like teams that I'm not really sure what's going on. And the Ravens, you get behind on a really good team, I don't know if they're going to be able to come back.
yeah,
And they got down to the Colts and ended up winning. They got down to where was that, like the long game winning field goal that was Detroit, right? They like couldn't
yeah,
they didn't get down, but they like just couldn't put
pull
away
away.
Detroit. Now they did come back on the Chiefs, who at the time, this was week 2, we thought that
Thought they were good.
we're like a really good team, but maybe not. So I just don't really know what to think of this team. They just come out very flat every game, and then Lamar's is like, okay, just hand me the ball, I'm off, bye
Yeah.
guys, and it just seems to work, but eventually it's not gonna work. Like yeah,
I think
I
for
don't know.
fantasy right now, you love the way they're playing, but yeah, if we're talking real NFL football here, I'd be definitely worried if I'm a I'm a Ravens fan because
Absolutely. Yeah, like my wife's a big Ravens fan, and even after today's game, she was like, "Whew, guys, it'd be really nice if it stopped coming down to the last play. Like, please, seriously."
yeah,
And I'm like,
like
"Yeah,
we
no
have a
kidding."
good kicker, but we don't have to use him every week.
Exactly.
All right, you want to take the flip to the
Yeah,
4 o'clock?
absolutely. So we got three of these games. We'll start off with the Chargers and the Eagles. 27-24. Chargers take this one. Yeah, this was a pretty back and forth game, and a lot closer than I thought it was gonna be. I thought the Chargers would take this one, but Herbert 32 for 38, very efficient, 356 yards, 2 touchdowns, with a rushing touchdown to boot. Eckler with 17 for 59, not the greatest stat line for him, but I think his passing work was pretty decent too. I
Yeah,
know
I forgot
that,
to put
but
that on there, but you're right.
that's yeah.
Kind of made up for it there.
Yeah, all good, but I mean, it still wasn't like an Eckler game. It didn't, he didn't take over, he didn't score. So that's kind of unfortunate. Yeah, 3 for 23, not eye popping in the passing game, but enough. Keenan Allen 12 for 104. I'll tell you though, Mike Williams only 2 for 58. So another kind of down game. I mean, there was one 49-yard pass was pretty much it. Other than that, not much.
Yep.
On a night where Herbert threw 38 times and completed 32 of them. That's not good, guys. Eagles, Jalen Hurts, Justin Hurts, 11 for 17, 162 yards at a touchdown, ran 10 for 62. Again, a lot of garbage time for the rushing yards as well. Jordan Howard, here's the name I thought we'd all say.
Fantasy zombie right there.
17 for 71 and a touchdown. We all hate you, Jordan Howard. I'm sorry. We really do.
I started him in the league, by the way.
I hate you too. Devonta Smith, 5 for 116 and a touchdown. I've got Boston Scott in a couple leagues, so I'm not happy. Let's get back to this Eagles running game. So, look, when Miles Sanders is there, right, this team decides they don't run the ball at all with Miles Sanders, right? It's we're going to give Miles Sanders maybe a dozen carries a game, if that,
Yep.
maybe a few pass catches, and then it's all Jalen Hurts, it's all Devonta Smith, it's all Goddard, it's all Gainwell in the passing game, who they've decided to just completely forget about all of a sudden. Like, what in the world is happening? So let's fast forward a few weeks from now. Miles Sanders comes back healthy, hopefully. Are they back to running the ball? Are they going to still continue to run the ball with Miles Sanders, or is this just?
I think it becomes a four-headed committee, which really is terrible for fantasy. I think Miles Sanders will lead that committee, but yeah, I think the Eagles like having these multiple running backs come in here. And I think what happened was when Miles Sanders got hurt, they started that first quarter off giving him the ball, and they go, oh, wait a minute, we can actually run the ball and move it. And then he got hurt, and they were kind of like, all right, we got to stick with that game plan. And they just stuck with these running backs. But yeah, when Miles Sanders comes back, I think Howard has earned a role, even if it's just a goal line back kind of role, but he seems to be doing that pretty well. I think Boston Scott, he's kind of did his thing last week. Miles Sanders does what he does. It's going to be tough to figure this out each week. It's going to be like the Patriots, really. I mean, the Patriots is kind of the same way, where you can't pick a running back that you're going to start each week.
Was just going to say that. Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with that. I only went after Boston Scott in the league because he was free.
Yeah.
If I had to pay any capital for him, no chance. Last week it worked out. This week not so much. So, yeah. Real quick, what's your thoughts about Mike Williams going forward? It seems like they're using him differently in the last 4 or 5 games than they did the first 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, it does seem weird. And Herbert is struggled up until this game, struggled a little bit too in some of those games.
Yeah, they were using more of a route tree with Mike Williams early on, and now it seems like he's back to just being that deep threat, which wasn't working for them. So I don't know why they went away from it. But do you think they get back to that, or is this, now they're going back to the Keenan Allen show?
Yeah, if they want to be a contender, they need to go back to it, because I mean they were blowing teams out when they were using Mike Williams. They've struggled over the last couple of games. We saw the Ravens, blew them out basically. They could even move the ball on the Ravens. So yeah, I think Chargers need to go back to Mike Williams. I think Keenan Allen's always going to get his, regardless of what Mike Williams does. But they need that extra person there. They can't just go to Keenan Allen the whole time. So, because like this game, if Eckler, doesn't do what he needs to do, if this is a better team, over the Eagles, I think the Chargers probably lose this game. So they need to find a way to get him back involved. And I think if I own him in fantasy, I think your selling window was probably gone. Maybe you want to look at a buy low window, hoping that they get back to it. But I think it's tough right now if you're a Mike Williams owner.
I was able to trade Mike Williams in a dynasty league where my team is complete garbage, and I'm going to need a couple years of rebuild for a first-round pick. Now, granted, it will probably be a late first-round pick, but I would have never thought I would have gotten that even at the beginning of the year. So
Hey,
I'm more than ecstatic to get that return for him,
definitely.
because I don't think he was the player. I still don't think they are going to go back to him consistently enough in that role that he was seeing early on. I just, for whatever reason, they just don't do it. Next game here, Packers and Chiefs. Packers lose 7-13. Of course, no Aaron Rodgers. Bite my tongue on that one. Jordan Love, 19 for 34, 190 and touchdown. A lot of garbage time yards there. Was not a good game from him. He
Not at all.
lost. He just was the whole offense was just bad. Aaron Jones, 12 for 53. Dylan did pretty decent as well when he got his opportunities. Adams at least caught 6, but for only 42 yards. Randall Cobb, 3 for 50. Kind of bailed out Jordan Love at one point. He just chucked it down the field as he was running. It was a terrible decision, and Cobb completely bailed him out. But on the Chiefs side here, we've got Mahomes, 20 for 37, 166 yards, career low passing yards, and only 1 touchdown. Darrell Williams, 19 for 70, solid day. Kelsey, 5 for 68 and a touchdown, finally gets back in the end zone. And Tyreek Hill, 4 for 37. I mean, and I don't know what really you're expecting from the Chiefs passing game when Mahomes only throws for 166 yards. But so obviously Rodgers is not losing his starting gig anytime soon.
Definitely not.
Real quick, what do you think happens this off season, right? If Rodgers walks or whatever, does the same stuff he did, can they trust Love after seeing what he did today against a pretty bad Chiefs defense?
Yeah, no, I don't. They can trust Love. I think Rodgers does walk, and I think the Packers are going to be left with Jordan Love, and they're going to go from being contenders of Super Bowl to being contenders for the first round pick. I think. Love might be able to get some more starts under his belt. Maybe he ends up being pretty decent. The thing that really surprised me with this game was they didn't do design runs for Love at all. He's a pretty decent, runner.
Right.
They didn't use him in that respect at all. Not even, even as the threat of it, doing some kind of read options. They didn't do it at all. It was like a Rodgers offense, basically, with Jordan Love running it, and it just didn't seem to work. I expected a little bit more creativity with their offense, and it just didn't happen in this one.
Yeah. Before we jump over to the Chiefs side here, we have a question from Z Smitty. Should I trade Dalton Schultz and Hunter Renfrow for Calvin Ridley? I have Mark Andrews. Now, his second comment here is he's concerned because, obviously Ridley may not return this year. That's a tough one, man. I think if you have the depth at receiver and you can take the risk on Ridley, and your record's good enough, I don't hate it. Because obviously Mark Andrews is the tight end you're starting, I think.
Right. And I would assume that Hunter Renfrow was also not a starter. At least he wasn't drafted to be one. I don't know what your other receivers
clearly
are.
not. No, he's going to be, a much bigger weapon here going forward. I think even when Djax shows up, I think Renfrow is still going to have a fairly substantial role in this passing game.
Yep.
But I don't hate the move. As we mentioned, he's got, Ryan has picked things up, and of course on your show, Geoff, just last week, I mentioned that I wanted to trade for Ridley. Now this was before all the news happened, but I still don't mind this move. Now he's got DJ Moore, Mike Williams, and Brandon Cooks. If those are your only other 3 receivers, I'm not sure I pull the trigger.
Yeah, I'm definitely not.
Because Cooks is solid floor just because he's like the only guy they're going to throw it to. DJ Moore, as we just mentioned, has been just terrible. Darnold cannot do anything. And Mike Williams is trending in the wrong direction. He's turning into Mike Williams from his entire career, unfortunately. So I think I might hold on to Renfro because I think you might need him.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think with those receivers and the issues that they're having with quarterbacks and the fact that Brandon Cooks plays on a terrible team, the volume's there obviously, but he's not going to score very much. So yeah, I think I'm keeping Renfro there.
Yeah, I don't mind getting rid of Schultz and Renfro to like get a wide receiver 2 type player, but really may not be the one you want. You need somebody who I think you can rely on.
Agreed, 100%.
At least to play. So back to the Chiefs here. We've got, the concerns here with this offense. Mahomes is just something's going on, man. And I'm not really sure what are they doing. They shorted that offensive line, and that was supposed to fix everything, right, from that Super Bowl just meltdown. But it just hasn't worked. I mean, what do we do with Mahomes here? It's like, he didn't turn the ball over today. I guess there's at least that, but he just didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, he did take his shots to Hill. They just didn't connect. So I mean, you can look at it and say, well, if you connected on one of those shots to Hill, maybe this is a different game. But the Packers, I mean, they had a great game plan. I mean, they really put it on the Chiefs, and I think that the blueprint was kind of laid a little bit when the Bucs beat them in the Super Bowl, and I think everybody's kind of taken that blueprint and there's double team Hill, double team Kelsey, and let somebody else beat you, and that other person is not beating them. So it's tough right now unless they can somehow get Pringle or Hardman or whoever they want to get to be that second guy. I just don't see this offense really doing much in fantasy other than a couple hits here and there.
Yeah, and I know, me included, we all like to crap on Sammy Watkins, but I think Sammy Watkins made a bigger difference in this offense than we're all giving him credit for, because teams had to respect him a little more than they do Pringle. He can be a little more of an underneath guy, to where Pringle and Hardman and all those guys, they're all kind of deep threat guys. That's pretty much all they are. Watkins can do that, but he's also a guy who can just like cross over the middle or, just do little in routes, and that opened up the downfield for Hill a little more. They couldn't just keep Watkins open all game by himself. So, last game here, Cardinals and 49ers. This was a very injury-ridden game coming in. Lots of question marks. The 49ers guys all played, and the Cardinals guys did not. So you would have thought the 49ers would have pulled this one out, huh, Geoff?
You would have thought.
Not so much. So Cardinals win this one 31-17. Mr. Colt McCoy, 22 for 26, 246 yards and a touchdown. Scrambled a few times too, man. He did his best Kyler Murray impression.
Superhero James Conner.
James Conner, the best running back in the NFL. No, at least today he was. 21 for 96, 2 touchdowns, caught 5 for 77 and a touchdown. What? I don't get it. And then Christian Kirk without D-Hop, 6 for 91. Benjamin, 9 for 31 and a touchdown as well. Rondale Moore caught 5, which was cool, but for like 25 yards. So I guess at least you like the usage, but you were hoping for more yards there. On the 49ers side, it was not pretty. Jimmy G, 28 for 40, 326 yards. I mean, he was just playing catch up. So a lot of those yards were kind of garbage. He just looked bad. But 2 touchdowns and a pick. Elijah Mitchell, 8 for 36, caught 5 for 43, which is nice because he hasn't been used in the passing game. So it's kind of nice to see that he can do it. Kittle, return to Kittle, 6 for 101 on the touchdown. Who in my dynasty league wants to buy Kittle? Because I'm looking, guys. And then Ayuk, 6 for 89 in the touch, and Debo, 5 for 63. I think that's what that says. Yeah. I can read. So I think I'm going to leave the Cardinal side alone just because it's hard to, really analyze this team without Murray. Right. Connor is not doing that again. I think we can all agree with that.
I did want to ask you about Eno Benjamin. That's why I put him on the sheet there. So Chase Edmonds goes down in this game. That's why Eno Benjamin was used.
Right.
Is there any interest, you think, if Evans is out for a while and Eli Benjamin on the waiver wire? Because they were doing pretty
I
much
mean, look,
previous.
running backs are running backs, right? I mean, we're all desperate for running backs at this point, so yes. But he is no more than a flex guy. I mean, Edmonds wasn't really somebody who you could rely on
Yeah,
week in and week out
true.
anyway. So like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, pick up Benjamin and then automatically throw him in your flex. No, he's gonna
Yeah,
be in consideration.
yeah.
That's about the best I can say there. On the 49ers side here, obviously the run game just got tossed out the window, so I'm not saying anything about Mitchell here, bad with his running game.
He did
Jimmy
get most of
G,
the snaps, but you'd like to see at least. He did.
yeah, like he was on the field, and that's what matters. Jimmy G, yeah, we talked about this on your show. When are they just gonna say we're done and just switch to Lance? In which case, this whole offense changes
Yep.
drastically.
I think it
How
should
many
have
more
already
weeks?
happened. Honestly, I mean, I think you look at our division. If we played in the NFC East, like as it was last year, maybe. But we're in the NFC West, and we have two teams that have one loss each. So it's like we're not winning this division. We'll be lucky to get a wild card at all. So at this point, why won't you put Lance in there? I mean, Jimmy G's he's not doing it. So why not? Why not change the offense?
Yeah,
See what happens. You know what I mean? And that's what I thought would happen. Sooner than it has already. I actually predicted it to be week 1, but that didn't happen. I
yeah,
did want to ask you about Ayuk too. I mean, he kind
right.
of,
That was my other question.
yeah, Ayuk.
That
He looked good today. I mean, he had the one fumble that
he
kind of.
was he was on the field a lot last week too. He actually ran more routes than Debo did last week,
Wow, I didn't even know
and
that.
he looked good again this week. Caught that touchdown. Caught another deep pass to put him in position. Yeah, I don't know what changed, but hey, like if Ayuk's out there, I think he's an automatic pickup at this point, and you just got to see what happens. And again, things could change for this team next week if they
Yeah,
decide to put in Trey Lance because
but
it will
Lance.
not be the same passing offense. Um, Kittle's not going to get his workload that we're seeing now. Debo's not going to get his. Look, we already saw the first week with Kittle back, and Ayuk now more involved. Kittle's usage drops like a rock. Now Debo's still a beast.
Yeah.
I still like him, but I don't think he's going to be a top 10 receiver the rest of the way with everybody healthy.
Are you
And
selling high on all these guys? I know you just said you want to trade away Kittle. What about Debo? Are you selling Debo? Are you selling, if you own Ayuk, are you selling him with the
yeah, I mean,
anticipation that?
if in redraft, yeah, I'm selling these guys more. If I can get, I'm not just going to trade just to trade. It's got to be I've got to get something in return. Debo's
Agreed.
been a top, 4 receiver most of the year. It feels like, he's just been amazing. So I'm not going to trade him for chump change. But yeah, I think if you can get a couple good pieces in return for Debo, why not? I'd be absolutely all for it. And Kittle, like I'm looking to trade him in my dynasty league where I'm like, what? I think I'm 2 and
Oh,
two and I'm now going to be 2-7. My team, my quarterbacks in that league are Justin Fields and Lawrence, and I've got Wentz, but like Wentz
playing the long
is
game.
yeah, Wentz is like just there until those guys can figure it out. My running backs are kind of I mean, I lost Akers. I lost. I've lost Ridley. I've lost a lot of players. Like my IR is like 15 players long. No joke. I have a full IR roster.
That's crazy.
It's nuts. So I'm playing the long game. So yeah, getting rid of Kittle, who's 28 and clearly an injury risk. I'm willing to give up on him right now to, rebuild for the next couple of years. But I need better than like a late second round pick, guys. He's too good,
He's
as
too
you can
good.
see from
Yeah.
today. So, all right, man. It is 21-6 Tennessee over the Rams. I thought they scored a touchdown. I guess they called it back. I missed that. I thought Higbee scored. The Rams are trying here, but it's tough sledding for them, man. The Titans came to play. But all right, man, that's all I got. You can follow me on Twitter at F6PJoe, fantasy6pack.net. And Jeff, you go ahead and let everybody know.
You can follow
They
me
can
on
do.
Twitter at Geoff Lambert 77. Of course, find all of our stuff at goingfor2.com.
Absolutely, guys, and hope we have a better week 10 and we won't have to just through all the games. So, good night, everyone, and see y'all next week.